Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll have our city clerk, Kathy Swanson, do roll call.
Mayor McGowan,
Here.
Tom Hastings,
Here.
John Glondo,
Here.
Ron Spears is absent, Stephen Harper,
Present.
Mickey Holtz,
Here.
Beth Williams, here, Ken Rattler.
Here. And Ron did phone to say that he's not well tonight.
Note that we excuse the absence of Ron Spears this evening.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to excuse Ron Spears' absence. So under approval of the meeting agenda, I want to add one thing.
Can we call the question?
Hang on. What's that?
Can we call the question? It's all question seconded.
Oh. Yeah, okay. You guys want to vote on that or not? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I'm assuming way too much. You're right, thank you for that. Okay, I'm slipping on. So on tonight's agenda, I'd like to add this, it's a progress estimate from HLA. And then the other thing that, if the council doesn't mind, I've had a real good conversation with Tom Hastings, and we have a good understanding about our concerns, and we'd like to remove that from the agenda. So is there a motion for those?
I'll make a motion to remove it.
Okay, and then how about in the same motion, would you add the HLA, this to the agenda?
Okay, I'd like to have the HLA to.
Cost estimate. Okay. Okay, and this one will go under new
business. We'll just switch them out then?
the replacement. Yes.
Replacement.
Hey, we'll put HLA under that. New business.
Instead of go second, I'll second.
Okay, there you go. It's moved and seconded to do that. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Announcements, awards, recognition, I don't think we have anything. So we'll go down to the consent agenda.
Move that we.
Accept the consent agenda.
And I'll second.
Moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda is that's that. And then, okay, so now we're gonna go down to officer reports. But before they report, you guys are gonna have to bear with me a little bit tonight, okay? Because since this is, close to the first meeting of the year, I wanna give you just what I call their irons in the fire. Just a real quick overview of what this staff on a general basis is doing. I'm gonna do sort of like a Matt Morton and do this quick, okay? But Rob is, amongst other things, there's a new building code, it revises building permit fees, review building permits, sewer fee analysis for 2019. He's working on the new sewer analysis for 2020. The sewer plan is out for a grant right now. He issues about 100 building permits, performs 100 plan reviews, performs 360 inspections, estimates, works on the airport zoning, the airport aviation passport program, works with potential leaseholders at the airport, energy grant from DOC, he's working on the HAV heating and cooling system here, a solar project at the water plant, energy upgrades, redesign or cover up a better city-wide camera system, install a rack for IT at City Hall, perform routine and non-routine maintenance of all hardware, software components, including installing and upgrading software packages, diagnose, resolve personal computers, maintain citywide website, provides daily support for users, maintains, manages, and updates the city's servers, switches, phone system, city budget. Has to help do that. Complete front counter security project, complete City Hall window, keep up with projects all department heads are doing. the lean training, and that's what this all is leading up to. A council paperless project, and the day-to-day activities throughout City Hall. Real quick. Then and I'll explain the lean thing here in just a minute, okay? So the planning department, in progress. The comprehensive plan, which is due in 2019, and there's a whole paragraph there on that I won't read to you. The planning department, paperless planning and permitting transactions, projects and checklist development, code enforcement, city projects, the downtown revitalization, Pine Street project, Yakima River water intake, ongoing large-scale projects, Bullfrog Flats, T-Mobile, Elum Pines West, Phase 3, Mountain Rose Plat, 20 home subdivision, Campbell Corners, 15 homes, the PSC franchise, ordinances, besides all development regulations in the comp plan, Parks Committee, there's a future irons, the GIS database, fire adaptation, firewise, annexation, there's a couple of those, Planning Commission, and I want this Planning Commission here, ordinances, sidewalk camping, noise, nuisance, wayfaring signage, identify priority act, historic preservation commission. So pretty much all this stuff that she brings to us goes to the planning commission first. So all the paperwork you get from our planner here has already gone to the other things that sit here. So this like having to do it twice, it takes quite a bit. Real quick, the public works over there, and this is not all of it, but this is just like a brief window. That's working on the GIS program because we're camera the sewers and have a leak testing and training the crew to use GIS. Repairing the irrigation system at the cemetery. Replacing city name signs. Replace all city signs that do not meet MUCTD compliance. You figure it out, okay? Continue to repair potholes throughout the city. Restripe crosswalks, curbs, etc. Inspect development projects, plan reviews for new developments, monitor park maintenance, inspect park improvements, facilitate required training of staff, work with FAA on airport, schedule with the county the TIB chip seal, monitor maintenance at the cemetery, attend applicable training, monitor and upgrade the water meter batteries, etc. Apply for funding for new water reservoir, have current water reservoirs cleaned and inspected, apply for funding for sewer line repairs, big deal. Apply for funding for water line repairs, replacement. Continue to organize city shop and yard, install new water valve at Fireman's Park, replace side sewer at Rental House, remove all hydrant at Power Street, grind debris at City Dump, install parking lot lighting and new parking area, assist with the Howard Carlin Memorial Park structure, respond to citizen complaints and comments. And that one sentence there takes a lot of time, aside from all this. Grade and improve city right-of-way, install winter parking signs, regrade all surface alleys, look to dust control options, assess and improve snow and ice program, review job descriptions and classifications and make necessary changes, review city safety plan and make necessary changes, and that's just a brief glimpse of things that he kind of does. So then I'm going to go to, on the public, speaking of which, I don't know if it'll come up tonight or not, but he's working on, Tommy would be interested in this. The city's public works department is working with staff to ensure the staff is certified through Washington State Department of Health in the following areas to ensure compliance. And waterworks operator certificate, cross connection control specialist, backflow assembly tester, field test reporter, water distribution manager, 1 through 3. So there's a lot of study material and classes. They're training through Evergreen Rural of Washington. They're going to work with William and Scott McKenzie, and Tom has suggested he would help on this project too, because everybody has to have that same training. City clerk. City clerk sits there and you never hear anything from the city clerk. Actually does stuff. So, she actually is office manager and assists with all sorts of stuff there. Takes care of the cemetery, all the Brookwood Cemetery. Coordinates with the events committee. The lodging tax, she keeps track of all that kind of stuff. Department of Revenue, she processes excise tax monthly reports and pay excise taxes and other tax-related things for all of us. She creates puts the packets together. She records the meetings, coordinates committee meetings, publishes adoption of ordinances and resolutions, publishes notice of public hearing, coordinate with the mayor for document signature, including contracts, ordinance and resolutions as approved by the council. She does records retention, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of detail here that I won't bore you with, but it's involved. And she creates, she does billing for city rentals. And let's see here, what else here? Maintains files and records in orderly fashion. She processes public record requests. And the municipal code publishing, and she sees to that all of your code books are up to date, and coordinates with the city attorney, HLA, and any entity requiring city input with legal process for projects. And this is just kind of the daily duties. And then other things she has going, there's creating a records retention log, and this is a big deal. There's all kinds of boxes. They spend all kinds of time filing through, trying to find stuff. She's working on the existing file cabinets, and we're working on a paperless system, you guys. Pretty soon you're gonna have to look at something else. Plus that, she takes care of the cemetery. And then, last but not least, is the treasurer. And then monthly, she does bank reconciliation. She posts utility tax as an adjustment, runs treasurer report and balance, department head monthly, yearly reports, gets SCE and Viola water reads and puts into bias, receives county treasurer report and posts revenue, posts all of the court remittances, pay state treasurer, do all regional billings, South Clem, Roslyn, Suncadia, for water and sewer. Indian John bill DOT, she has to keep track of that. Payroll due the 16th and the last day of the month. Accounts payable due 2nd and 4th Tuesday each month. Tracks all loans the city has outstanding and pay when due. Keeps grants organized and requests reimbursement on the following. And this is really a big deal for the treasurer. That we have one for stormwater from USDA. We have a phase 3 First Street revitalization from WASDOT. We have a Public Works Trust Fund loan on First Street. There's a county COG grants from 16, 17, and 18 for First Street revitalization. The Community Development Block Grant, First Street revitalization, TIB, Horse Park Tractor, Equine Fence, and Covered Arena. We have the contract in there for $1.5 million that we're the contractor for. We have to keep track of. Let's see, the Community Development Block Grant Comprehensive Plan, County Lodging Tax Grant, Police Department, vests, mobile computers, and car cameras. And then, on a quarterly, yearly, bill Suncadia twice a year on fire department loan, W-2s due to employees and Social Security, IRS, Employment Security, JLARC report due annually, and anybody wants to know what these acronyms are, we can explain it later. Start budget process in August, start annual report process in February, property tax levy due in October, November, prepare budget amendments when needed, council quarterly reports, regional rates computed annually, handle investments, bill developers when needed through IPs and track, monitor gambling and marijuana taxes, report unclaimed property, and other maintenance reports due through the year. And then grant reports for all those above. And so I didn't include what the utility clerks do, and because what we're going to be doing, we have a process with the state auditor. It's a lean process, and here's some time when we can calendar out the time. We're going to spend a week in here with everybody involved, and we're going to do an audit of the utility process. And because the utility clerks is central, it affects everyone who all these jobs they do. If one of them is gone, or two of them are gone, there's the phones that have to be answered, there's all this stuff, there's all that has to be done that gets filled in with everybody else. And we're going to look at that whole process. It includes the city crew, it involves Rob, it involves me, and we're gonna, what we're planning is there's gonna be a week. And we haven't figured out the date, but they'll have an hour in the morning to do what they gotta do. And then 6 hours will be in here going through this process, and then they'll have an hour at the end of the day. And we'll have to advertise and find maybe 3 weeks between councils or sometime like that, a slow time to be able to take them away from the office. And we're gonna go through that utility clerk process with a fine tooth comb and make it smooth. And so everybody knows, because it is a widget. They have a process, they do something, the same thing over and over and over. And so we're gonna clarify what that is. And so that is coming up, and that's what'll be our next step. And also, I wanted this sort of overview real quick of the, you know, just for my own edification, you know, what the heck are you guys doing? You know, so just to give you kind of a really quick idea of a lot of stuff happens all at the same time around here. And I haven't even really touched on the problems that Mike has, you know. They have all these things, but then water main breaks and everything stops, right? So that's my spiel, and thanks for bearing with me on that. And so now with that, we'll go into our officer reports, and we'll see what Rob, our city administrator, has got to say.
Thank you.
You didn't do nothing that week, did you?
That was great, in 10,000 words or less, right? Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. I guess my report was already read, so no, I'll go in a little detail. We haven't met for a while. It's been, well, I haven't been here for a month or so. Well, just because I missed one. I've been here, but working hard. I wanted to give you an update on the building permits for 2018. We ended out at 109 permits, which, to give you an example, last year we did 65 permits. So we're up about 70% on building permits, which translates to about $11 million in added valuation for new construction. And then about $121,000 in permit fees. So, and last year it was about not even 44,000. So we're up. We're up quite a bit. I can't say that it happens going to happen this year, but it might. It might. So that's the update on the building permits. As far as you see some construction going on here, and the city hall renovations, I guess, whatever we called it last year. So we're missing 2 windows still. They were on back order, and then so we got to do that, and then the 3 exterior doors, which we're excited to get, and then we'll have the key cards on those. On those, and then the wall at City Hall, if you've seen the wall, looks pretty. There still needs to be the glass needs to go in, and then we're going to have a door, a secure door that's going to be like a buzz-in type of. The people at the front counter could buzz people back if they need to. Let's see. Oh, we had. Petite finished our disaster plan. It says draft, it's right here. It says draft. I guess it's more or less always going to be a draft. It's kind of a living document. It's called the Community of Operations Plan, Continuity of Operations Plan. And so with that final document, on December 18th, we had a tabletop exercise, which was it was actually pretty good. There was about 17 people here, representatives from the county, of course, Clay Elum, Roslyn, South Clay Elum, Sancadia, and Washdot. We all gathered in here, and the exercise was on a snow event that turned into a disaster. So that. Hopefully we don't have to use this year, but that was a really good discussion on December 18th. Jay already mentioned about the lien specialist. We did meet on December 5th with the auditor, and we kind of picked a certain process, which was the utility process, and it looks like probably in March is when we're going to do that week-long training. I've been talking about the energy audit throughout the city. McKinstry finally got it all done. Quite extensive. I was really impressed. I've seen some of the plans that they've put together. With that, on December 28th, we submitted for 2 grants to the Department of Commerce. One for $350,000 for a solar array on top of the water plant. They're really hopeful on that one. We're a small city. There's different benefits for that. So we're hopeful on that. There's another one that was for about $475,000 for different energy projects throughout the city, ranging from, lights at the water plant to, a better HVAC system for the pumping station and whatnot. So we submitted those grants, and we'll see how they come out in March as well. So that should be in March. As far as the IT world here, we've got a new system here. I don't know if you guys noticed the new speakers and a new amp here, so it's going to be a lot clearer. Mike actually took the initiative, and since he's kind of a audio guy, he came up with this really nice system. So now it's easier for Kathy to listen to our voices on that. And then also we replaced, like all technology, right? It goes, needs to be replaced. So we replaced our phone servers, and I'm going to have to be looking into the actual main, the big city servers as well as possibly replacing that this year. But our phone servers, I like to kind of keep plugging away at upgrades as we go along. So I think that was it. Even though that's it. Thanks.
Question, it may not be within your wheelhouse, but there was a disruption, at least there was reported that there was a disruption to the 911 service. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, I don't, do you know about that?
No, I was thinking Beth probably has her or.
I actually have a KitCom meeting on Thursday, 2 days from now, and I was going to bring that up or ask about what happened.
Yeah.
I do.
You know, it was like a big, a big thing.
It was huge, yeah.
You hear it happen, you just don't know any of the details.
I had heard that it was something to do with CenturyLink, and so.
Yeah.
Central.
Rob will find the details out.
Yeah.
He'll get the scoop.
Love to hear about it.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay, that's right, Rob's done. Now we'll take a break. Now we'll hear from our city planner, Lucy Temple.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. So the first was a bit of a surprise. We got a call from AWC, which is the Association of Washington Cities, and you all get their quarterly magazine in your inboxes. They have decided to feature Elum in their next quarterly magazine, which is going to come out in mid-February. They actually were in a room kind of brainstorming what should go into their next issue, and they decided to do transportation. They haven't done a transportation issue before, and then they're trying to figure out what cities or projects to highlight, and they came up with the city of Bellevue and the city of Elum. And the TIB representative that was in the room in that conversation said, and I'll try roughly paraphrasing what they said was, you should look at Elum because they're doing a 21st century streetscape and keeping the 19th and 20th century feel. And so that's why they're interested in our project. So I was interviewed today by their reporter, and they're also going to interview the mayor and our project lead, or our project engineer, Ben Annan, and a couple other folks. And then they're going to be sending a photographer here on the 18th to take pictures of the project site, which is the same exact day that the lamp posts are going to go in, finally. And so tomorrow, the city crew, Mike and Kathy and I are going to go out and look at The permanent placement for the benches and trash receptacles, we were gonna wait till spring, but because of this photo shoot, we're gonna put them in. And on the 18th, we're hoping the snow's melted. Otherwise, we're gonna do a really good job clearing it off so that we can take the pictures. And then I mentioned that to TIB, who I've been in communication with all day, kind of back and forth. They are taking our Complete Streets nomination to the next level. We have received 2 formal nominations from the organization called Feet First and another one called, the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation, state agency, nominated us. And so the next step is that they just start filling out the checklist, make sure we have everything, and then they're gonna want our work plan, which we're gonna be scrambling to develop. We have really good ideas, but we wanna make sure that it's really well done, and that needs to be turned in by February 13th. But they were also really excited about this AWC issue, and they wanna have it in some of their presentations, TIB does. So that's gonna be pretty fun. We have our bookend project to the PO Avenue kicking off next week with, that's at Billings Avenue and First Street, kicking off next week with a meeting with the landowners, with HLA and city staff for the 4 corners to introduce ourselves to the landowners and make sure that they know who we are and how to communicate so that they can tell us all the project details that we need to know, because they know that corner better than we do. For permitting, we have a few permits in the works. Nothing too big right now, but that have proved tricky in answering some of the questions. But we have a lot of permits that we're anticipating, and those are going to be larger efforts. One, as our mayor mentioned, the Washington State Horse Park Covered Arena. That permit, of course, includes reviewing their whole development agreement and all kinds of things. A telecommunications tower, the Elum Pines West Division 3, which is another 47 home sites in addition to the 42 that were previously approved. So those are coming down the pike. I wouldn't be surprised if they came in tomorrow. And then for permitting, we're also researching a paperless permitting process, transitioning over into that. For the Planning Commission, they're continuing to develop a plan for an arts commission based upon the downtown revitalization component of art on the at the intersections. And then for the comprehensive plan, we're nearing completion of the transportation and utilities elements. The transportation element has been very, very data rich and required a lot more of my time than I thought. So we're getting there on that. The land use element, HLA is doing everything except the land use element. So that has begun in-house. We're working on that. The capital facilities plan is beginning soon, and that's going to be kind of the biggest one that HLA is doing. And then with all that comes the required development regulations or reviews for consistency, and we've already started that. We're starting with the zoning code, which is pretty immense. And the last time those were reviewed were in 2001. The Historic Preservation Commission, we have a couple of applicants. We've finally got applicants for our vacant seat, and we're going to be meeting with them at our next meeting, which is January 17th. And then tomorrow night at 5:30 here in council chambers, we're having a town hall forum. That's this. These were actually, a hole was punched, and these were hung on all the doors of all the residences at Marion and Denny Avenue in Elum Pines, because there have been some questions about the city winter parking ordinance and other parking things related to the winter, and also snow removal questions. So we're going to be meeting with whomever appears and talking about the Public Works, and the police department will be there, as well as myself for planning. Any questions?
So I'll add to that a little bit. This is mine. There was, although Scott isn't here tonight, it's been really, the snow plowing issues in that neighborhood have been very difficult. Around town, we have 60-foot wide streets, and there are pickup and shuttle cars, and shuffle around. But it's a lot smaller up there, and we have to kind of have a discussion with them, explain what we're trying to do, and find out what their problems are. So we're having this meeting to talk to those residents to see what we can do to make it work better.
Is the no parking time between 4 AM and noon or 4 AM and midnight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that code was just passed in late November of 2017.
12 PM was.
Yeah, you're right, 12 p.m. means midnight.
No,
But,
that's 12 a.m.
Yeah, 12 a.m. is
12 a.m. is midnight.
They've already.
Well, in any case, you know, we're gonna be talking with them, you know, what can we do so that can make life better for them. Okay, well, thank you, Lucy, for that. So now we'll go to our Public Works Director, Mike Engelhardt.
Honorable Mayor, council members, I'll keep mine short. With all the weather, the way it's been kind of weird, we've been doing a lot of chasing drains that have been plugged that we were unaware of, drains that we didn't even know existed, we're finding. So it's actually been a blessing for us. The airport, you guys will notice we got new signs that'll be here. We were supposed to get them today, but due to meetings, I couldn't get down and get them. But the new signs will be here tomorrow, hopefully by Thursday. We'll have those installed, so everybody will now be able to find their way to our wonderful airport. As Lucy mentioned, the PO intersection, it's pretty much done. The concrete's done. All they have left to do is to install the lamp posts. That's supposed to be done on the 18th, as she'd mentioned. There still is one overhead line that CenturyLink is working on, trying to come up with a resolution on how to get that moved. If you happen to go down to the city shop, you'll notice that the old house that's been there for I don't know how long is now gone. We finally got that demoed, and we have new shipping containers coming in that we're going to have shelved to where we actually have some dry storage to start storing a lot of our parts and pieces that we need for emergency repairs that throughout the years have just been kind of shoved in corners due to lack of storage space. So making a lot of headway and a lot of progress down there getting that yard all organized. So the lack of snow has kind of been helpful for us. Everybody will be happy to know the merry-go-round is officially in the shop being repaired as we speak. The parade is set for the new install. It'll hopefully be by the end of the month. But we are working on that. It's finally getting repaired. We finally have some time.
It's on the car lift in the shop.
It is.
It's really good in there.
Obviously the crew's been working on snow removal. We have a new tractor. It's the lawnmower actually that Veolia used to use. Due to them getting a new zero turn for themselves, we got the tractor back and have a sweeper attachment we put on the front for doing sidewalks. So we finally got that up and going. So hopefully now we'll be able to maintain the sidewalks around City Hall and Safeway Hill and 2nd Street and around the parks. We'll be able to maintain those a lot better with that piece of equipment in our fleet. Again, winter is here. If you start to notice the weather being cold for a long period of time, we encourage you to let your faucets drip and open your kitchen cabinets and bathroom cabinets to help prevent freezing. And then as Lucy mentioned, winter parking. If you happen to see the road graders coming around your house, they make 2 loops. So jump out, move your car, and they'd be happy to shove the snow back out of your parking area and up onto the sidewalk or into your yard or wherever they're trying. We're trying to keep everything opened up, but we kind of run into people not moving cars, so we do our best to move snow as much as we can. So, any questions?
All right. Thank you, Mike. So now we'll hear from our well, let's see. How come, I'm looking at this. Oh yeah, there it is. Our fire chief.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, first line of business, I think tonight we'll be installing the new officers under new business. We elected new officers for the beginning of the year. Myself, the officers that we had are the same officers this year. So first chief is Ed Mills, first assistant Nate Henderson, second assistant is Casey Orndorff, and then we have a new secretary, PIO, and that's Debbie Floyd. So the month of December we had 46 calls, and I believe Kathy got you a packet in your deal. We had 46, we had 2 fires, 2 hazardous conditions, 39 EMS. one call for assistant, and 2 canceled false alarms. For the year of 2018, we actually hit 523 calls. We had 42 fires, 418 EMS, and 18 hazardous conditions, and 18 service calls. Last month at our meeting, I let 6 of our firefighters go. Under our bylaws, we have a agreement there with no arrangement for a leave of absence or a no show for a period of time, and it's quite a period of time. I had to let 6 of those individuals go, and I actually gave them a lot more grace than we'd normally give. So with that being said, I actually had another one get on. So we've got a new firefighter, and then I've got 2 that approached me that apparently will bring their applications in tomorrow. So we still have room for new firefighters, so if anybody's interested, please come see me. Accomplishments for this last year, we were able to pick up the high pressure breathing apparatus from Yakima at a huge savings. We picked up 42 bottles and 24 packs. That was roughly a savings of about $80,000 for the citizens of Elum. We got half of those bottles sent off and refurbished. We've got the other batch ready to go. It just has to be mailed out and they'll be shipped back to us. So we got the electric cot installed, so we have that in service on our ambulance. We had picked up the new AADs, so we have 3 new AADs, automatic defibrillators on our rigs. And then we refurbished the training room over at the fire hall for the guys to use and come in. We've got 3 computer bays set up and made that a little bit more user friendly. Recently, just had a meeting with the new elected team discussing is for this upcoming year and plans for 2019. So just look forward to serving you again this next year. Any questions?
Thank you, Ed.
Mayor, Mayor, if I may, we didn't actually get that, I thought we'd do it after his presentation here.
And
Go
that
ahead
is
and
to approve the new officers?
officers, yeah, and I'll give you the list at the bottom left. We'll need that back.
Okay.
Did-
So, what is it a council thing, or do I just?
Yeah, my understanding is that the council directs and then the mayor appoints. Like, basically, it's ratified, their decision is ratified by the
Right.
council.
It has to be ratified by the.
So I'm gonna ask the council to ratify. Ed is the first chief, and then, let's see here now.
Nate
Nate is first assistant, and the second assistant is Casey Orndorff. And, PIO, Debbie over here. So, do I hear a motion to accept them?
I'd move to that effect.
And is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded to appoint these new fire department officers. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I was wondering about, they want to pass this back to our...
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll hear now from William LaRue from the Elum.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. In the packets, I have provided you with our usual graphs for the month. Just real quickly, the water plant produced 22.2 million for the month of December. The wastewater plant was at 24.8 million gallons. Both plants are running very, very well. Even through the rain on snow event that we had just after Christmas, both plants were able to absorb the impact that we saw from that with increased flows at the wastewater plant. Of course, with all that runoff, it created issues for turbidity on the river. So we ended up running on the well field for a couple of days and then back into the Yakima River as things cleared up. So nothing startling going on with the facilities. I'd like to give a little bit of a recap of some of the stuff with the treatment plants. The water plant produced for the year 2018, 382.2 million gallons. That's an average of 1.5 million gallons a day of operation. We operated the plant for 4,357 hours. So if you put all those hours together, we operated for a total of 181 and a half hours, or excuse me, 181 and a half days for the year. And that equates out to, on average, 12 hours a day of operation for the water plant. The wastewater plant treated 3,223.6 gallons, 323 million gallons, excuse me, for an average of 886 million gallons a day. And we recorded a total of 21 inches of precipitation down at the wastewater plant. Both of these facilities were operated throughout the year, one operator short for a period of 9 months. We lost an operator at the water plant there for 4 months before we got somebody in there. Got a guy in, got him started to get trained up, and then we lost an operator at the wastewater plant. And so go through the process of getting somebody hired, which we just got somebody on the day after Christmas. So we're back to full speed. And we're looking forward to charging into 2019. Be happy to answer any questions that you folks may have.
Yeah. Just for the record, so 1.5 million gallons is the average per day that we produce at the water treatment plant?
That is correct.
And what's our storage capacity at present?
I think our storage capacity inside the city proper is 1.3 million gallons.
1.3. And if we were to have an event where we could not draw from there, approximately how much? So we have two sources. We have the wells, and we have the lake, or the Elum River, the river coming by. The approximate draw from either of those two sources, is that an easy thing to just, I don't know on an exact, but is that something easy to estimate what we could potentially draw from either one of those? So say we don't have any storage, and one of those things goes down. How much are we able to draw from any one source? Are we able to draw 1.5 million out of the wells or out of the?
We could get up 6 million gallons a day through the Yakima station.
Okay.
We actually can get more than that, but we are limited to 6 million for the treatment train. The well field, we can draw 900 gallons a minute out of before we start running into issues.
Oh, so
we can, depending upon what, where an emergency hits us, time of day, time of year, cycling of the reservoirs is really going to be the golden question.
And then the next question that kind of leads up to is, do you see one of the objectives that the city should look toward is increasing the capacity of our storage? You
Yes.
see that as like?
Yeah.
Don't we also have another 1.5 million gallon tank that is on the edge of San Katie? It's owned
We
by
do
the
have
city.
that one on the edge of San Katie. That's
So
why I
then that
say
make 3 million gallons?
roughly 3 million, again, depending upon
So,
where the elevation is.
I wanted to clarify that,
Yeah.
okay.
Depending on the zone though, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there it is. And
Yeah.
We can
we don't wanna-
backfeed.
We don't want to publicly say we got half the capacity that we
Sure,
actually have.
Sure.
No, all I was leading at with my questions is
Sure, yeah.
that we get it on the radar out in public forum that, storage capacity is something we need to at least consider, upgrading and planning for, because it's no one person does it.
If you remember,
I
let
think
me,
anecdotal discussions at a council meeting are inappropriate.
yeah, okay, but I'm looking for right now, on our city superintendent's list is funding for an additional reservoir, which I did read tonight. Yes, it's on our radar, and it's something we have to plan for and do, for sure,
So
long term.
We need to find out if we need it.
Sure.
Us sitting here yammering back and forth does not define the need.
Yeah,
okay?
okay.
You need 3 days,
3 days.
so we don't have 3 days, and
Oh,
we're
that's
missing 30% of the water leaks.
Yeah, so it's all right,
Big problem.
we're not like, we have to look at it for sure, Ken, I agree, you know, and with Stephen also, that, you know, it's something that, you know, we have to study, I would say.
Exactly.
Something we have to study, we need
It's
more
on the
information,
list,
we need
yes.
more information, for sure. And we'll rely on a lot of different sources for that, I'm gonna tell you. Okay, any other questions for Mr. LaRue? Okay, none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, interesting report. Well, we have to- Okay, so with that, we're at citizen comments on non-agenda items, and anyone who wishes to address the council is free to do so at this time, and we usually limit it to 5 minutes. And since there's a big rush at the microphone, I'll just pass this one up. So, okay, so now we'll hear from Laura Schottisch, our county commissioner, give us a presentation on the lodging tax. Thanks for bearing with us.
Yeah, of course. So I don't know, did anybody get a copy of this in your packets? No? I'll give a couple to you guys if you don't mind sharing. I also have it on the screen
Yeah,
here.
I can watch this one. And then Kathy would be good for Kathy.
I'll give her my copy when I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I usually listen.
All right, who's gonna turn the page?
What?
When did that happen?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Laura O'Shaughnessy, County Commissioner for the record. I'm here this evening to tell you that I received input prior to the consolidated groups meeting from the city of Elum and from the city of Roslyn that you were looking for some sort of a positive change. And so that's what I took away from the meetings where I addressed both the city of Elum and the city of Roslyn in requesting for participation in the consolidated process. What I have done is I have sent out surveys to all of the consolidated members, which I hope the people that are part of that committee received, to fill out a survey asking a variety of questions, which we'll go over this evening, as well as sent out a survey to the applicants that applied for the grant from this year as well as last year in case we missed some people that decided not to apply this year. In hopes to gather specific information that can allow the consolidated group to move forward in an effort to make the process more user-friendly for not only the consolidated group members, but also for the people that are, or the groups that are filling out the requests for funds for the lodging tax. So I'm going to go over this really quickly here. So the first slide is an invitation, and this is open to the public. So if people of the public wish to attend the meeting, we are holding a consolidated lodging tax meeting this Thursday, January 10th, here at the Cleveland City Hall from 3 until 5 p.m. At the bottom, and it's really hard to read on that screen, so if people are interested, I do have a copy here, but there is a link for the survey for the committee members as well as the applicants to fill out the survey prior to this Thursday. We will be going over the answers to the surveys as a consolidated group during that meeting, so it's really important that we get as much information, as much data as possible. Does somebody mind? Oh, thank you.
Actually, you could probably try this. If you
It was magic. Great.
just go that way or that's backwards.
Okay, thank you. So on the screen is just This is not the exact agenda as it's been prepared, but this is what I instructed to be on the agenda, which is to discuss the survey results from the committee members and grant recipients, discuss ways to utilize the results to provide better systems and processes for future grant cycles, discuss timing for this year, for 2019, as well as allow for other business. So if people have other items they wish to discuss, allow an opportunity for that. Okay, sorry about that again. So this is the input that was received from the surveys that have been sent out so far. And you can see here, it hasn't been a huge amount that it has answered. I think I've got 2 additional surveys completed from the consolidated group since I originally sent out the survey. But this copy that you have before you tonight has the answers from 7 of the members. So the first question is, does participating as a consolidated lodging tax committee member benefit your municipality? And the results so far, again, this isn't complete yet, is 100% yes. The next question is, are you able to dedicate the time required to participate in the process? Again, to date, the answer is yes, 100%. Is your municipality fairly represented when decisions are being made by the consolidated committee? And I felt like this question was really important. To be honest, I was a little bit surprised by the results just because I got a different sense from the councils when I spoke to the city of Elum and the city of Roslyn. But the answers in the survey from the people that have participated at this point is 100% yes. Does your municipality have the resources available to participate? Again, just wanted to know if some of the smaller municipalities felt like they had the resources able to participate. And part of the reason for that is this year, I don't know if it was just one city or if it was 2, but not everybody had the dollar amounts in when we met as a consolidated group to actually award funding. So I just wanted to kind of check in with the group to see how we're doing there. Does your municipality, and you can stop me at any time. I don't want to just keep on rambling if you want to talk about any of it.
Do you want to click along so we can follow along?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. We're at, is your municipality fairly represented when the decisions are being made by the consolidated committee? Next one. Does your municipality have the resources available to participate? 100% wrote yes. I also allowed for comments, so if you see at that bottom, in all of these questions, I just wanted to see if people had more to add than just yes, no, or I don't know, so I allowed for comments, and so far, no comments. There are comments later on, which we'll go through. The next slide is no question. Overall, how would you rate the current application process? So the choices people had were excellent, very good, good, fair, and poor. And the answers, we got 3 or 42.86% at very good, and 57.14% at good. Nobody answered excellent, fair, or poor. No comments. The next slide, I didn't write down the comments here. The next slide is, do you believe the application process is too restrictive? On this one, we got a little bit more varied answers. We had 3 that answered yes, and 4 that answered no. And these are their comments. So the first comment reads, I wouldn't say it is too restrictive, but it is intimidating for new applicants to consider to take on. The next states that it is wordy and needs to be simplified, and the third response was, it seems as though first-time events and smaller groups don't have the advantage the chamber has when filling out the applications. Next slide, do you believe the scoring process for applications is fair? And on this one, we didn't get any no's, but we did get 2 I don't knows. So we got 5 yeses and 2 I don't knows. Which is always interesting to me on the I don't knows, because I kind of feel like, you know, maybe we need to dive into this more on, you know, what are people missing to know whether it's fair or not fair. This is the comments received on that question, which are, I am bothered by the fact that the same applicants come in each year with reoccurring requests, and we don't seem to be able to evaluate how accurate their earlier estimates have worked out for details that figure in the scoring estimate, such as actual attendance or nights of lodging from the previous year. The second comment is yes and no here. Seems a bit subjective. Each municipality tends to favor events in their own area event. Next question, do you like the current application and review process? Again, a mix of answers. We got just over 42% that stated yes, 42% that said no, and 14% that said they don't know. And then comments here is on this question is, I wish there were more new applications and that the process could be more efficient. I think it has some kinks that need to be worked out, but once people are familiar with the process, it could be very useful. Again, yes and no, it's good to hear from all the applicants, but the day-long review is too long. Review, yes, application needs tuning up. Only choice, no to comment. Review process is good, but I feel that the application needs to be reviewed annually. And the last comment is, I think it could be made simpler for small events or events asking under $1,000. And then the last, I think this is the last. Nope, it's not. Is please provide any recommendations you have to improve the application, review techniques, and participation received for our consolidated lodging tax process. This is kind of going on a little bit longer than I anticipated, so I'll just read one of them here. And if you want to see the rest of them, you're more than happy to read these packets. I'll just go down to the second one down, which says, it would be helpful if for the applicants to show the intended use of the funds on the application, 2, include each line item and associated amount on the application, and 3, request the number of years the event has taken place on the application. There are others, and if people are interested, they can take a look at this. And then, so that is all of the questions and the current answers we've received on the, these are the other answers people gave for this question, on this particular questionnaire. And this again was the survey for the Consolidated Lodging Tax Committee members, so people from the city of Ellensburg, city of Elum, Roslyn, as well as the county. The other survey that I sent out has very similar questions, and these were to the applicants. And I believe so far I received somewhere between 9 and 11 responses on this. The first question that I asked, and I didn't, I'm not used to clicking. I didn't give all the answers on this. Not because I didn't want to share them with you, just because I didn't want to drag this out all night. But I can certainly give them to you, and they will be at the meeting. But I wanted to give you a taste of what was asked. So the first question was, have you applied for funding from lodging tax in the past? The second, did you apply for funding in the past but no longer apply for lodging tax funds? And then I asked, if you stopped applying for funds, please explain why. 3, overall, how would you rate the current application process? 4, were you successful in receiving funds through the application process? And then I asked them to please add comments to explain why you believe you were or were not successful. 5, does your organization qualify for funding from lodging tax based on the revised Code of Washington? 6, is the application process easy to comprehend? 7, on a scale of 1 to 100. There you go. On a scale of 1 to 100, with 1 being no resources and 100 being plenty of resources, do you believe you have the necessary resources available to complete the application? 8, please provide any recommendations you have to improve the application procedure for applications to receive lodging tax funds through the consolidated lodging tax application process. 9, overall, how would you rate the current application process, as well as good comments? I had that one on there twice. And 10, do you believe the scoring process for the applications is fair as well as allowing for comments? And that is all I have in regards to this, but I do want to open it up for questions. And I just wanted to say again, how important I think this process is for all of our municipalities. And I just want the cities of, all of the cities, the city of Elumsburg, the city of Elum, as well as the city of Roslyn, to feel as though their participation in the consolidated process is heard, valued, and taken into consideration. And I do thank you for your very candid concern when I approached council in regards to this. I think it was this last fall, as it really gave some time to kind of reflect on how to try to move forward in creating a process that will work well for everybody. So I hope that this information will be useful for the consolidated group on Thursday, and I also hope that the consolidated members from the city of Elum can attend. Any questions? Yes.
When you're talking about fall and the feedback that you're getting, is the focus of what you're talking about the communication with the city when we were considering the agreement, or?
Yeah, I mean, I felt, and that's usually not a word I use, but I'm going to use it in this instance. When I spoke to the cities, both the city of Elum and Roslyn, that they felt somehow that they didn't have an equal partnership in this.
So I might comment, and I think at the time reflected our lodging tax committee, and I'll preface it with I super appreciate the work that you're going at to refine the process. I think it'll be very positive. It'll enhance our involvement in it, etc. But the ire that the city was trying, I believe at the time, and certainly our committee was trying to communicate to the county, was not so much about the process. I feel like I personally feel like we're represented here. It was with the rate increase, when we consider not the consolidated process, but the whole overarching consideration of the lodging tax in general. I don't believe that we feel underrepresented in this process. It's at the big county process that we want to make sure that our voice is heard now and in the future, and that there was question of whether we're heard in that process. The consolidated process, obviously we wish we could put more time in, and we feel like it's getting better. I think positively, we feel like it's getting better each year. Certainly it could use refinement, but I don't think there's a great criticism of the consolidated process. It was at the time swallowing the huge rate increase is what caused the consternation. But I just wanted you to know our committee, I think, feels well represented and fairly represented, and that the process is getting better every year. So there's no criticism in that vein coming from our committee. I think I can speak on behalf of our committee. Yeah. The consolidated process gets better every year. It's whether, the amount that's generated in our portion of the county versus how much is spent, not by the consolidated process, but by the big county process. That was our concern at the time. But I think these are all positive changes and good questions to ask concerning the consolidated process.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your diligent work. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so there's no business requiring public hearings. So we're down to unfinished business, and this is the amendment for the salary ordinance. And who's going to,
I'm gonna go to the budget committee since they're,
do you want to run with that, Stephen, or?
Well, defer to the chair, but if you'd like, I can certainly speak to it.
Oh, is this the chair here? Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just
All right.
right over here.
So, several things were referred back to us, the consideration of different positions, and one of the positions that you won't see in the ordinance, or actually possibly multiple, is different maintenance workers, and as they obtain certifications, how that would fall into here, and we feel like that needs more study, that we're actually considering like making a rubric where, like, somebody who's a maintenance worker, they get a certain certification, that certification that is, you know, related to their job gets reimbursed, or gets, you know, gets a salary and wage consideration. But we feel like maybe that needs to almost be like a little chart. It's like a sliding chart type of thing. So we need to sit down and get more concrete data on that before we can make a good recommendation to council. But at present, two positions that we feel like we want to update the ordinance to be able to allow staff to be able to potentially hire is the planning tech and the maintenance worker. Those two positions are things that we got a job description, and we feel like that the wage and base pay are consistent with that job description, both of those. And so we're recommending the change in the salary schedule, for our study. And then we do plan on coming back with this revised and possibly in a different form, or with another addendum that addresses those other maintenance workers that have different certifications.
So I think in the questions, in the budget, we were talking about hiring 2 interns in the planning department, but now we're changing it to a full-time planning tech. So that was not described in the budget on the cover sheet.
Not really, Tom. What this is coming forth, the way I understood it, is that we have 2 or 3 projects in the city, which I don't even know really what they are, but they're huge projects if they go forward with the people that are looking at to invest the money. And at that time, a planning tech, the job expansion in Lucy's department would triple. And what we are trying to do here is set a requirement and a wage for that. So if we come to that point, when they come to the council, we can approve the hiring of a person that we now have met this need, okay? And now we have, you look at the experience, this is what the person, so that they know that they can offer this much after they go through the interviews on there. They can move forward more quickly.
And that's not what was described in the past. So the budget talks about the 2 intern positions, and this is the description of what.
Oh, I thought you were
interns-
talking about the planning tech, I'm
I
sorry.
am, but the budget, we agreed to hire 2 interns for the planning department. And now they're coming back already and asking for a planning technician, who is gonna be the intern. And at the last meeting, they discussed the intern turning into that position, so.
Sure. So I think
It's a little confusing, so we're gonna have a planning technician plus 2 more interns and have 4 people?
So I think we can address it is, we're not looking to establish and create a permanent, full-time position, but
That's not what was said in the last meeting. So are we hiring 2 interns?
so, yeah, let me, because they're kind of skirting around, and we are wanting this to be a a planning tech position, full-time position, for consultants or, other projects that come in. But right now, we are gonna take the 2 intern positions in the budget, and only use that money to hire a planning tech for essentially 9 months or a year.
For the comp plan.
And we've got that amount in the budget, and we're not gonna, we can't go over that amount. The reason why we kind of are coming back on the job is because our current intern that has the potential of working more hours, and the central contract that we have only allows him to work 20 hours. And so, and stop me if I'm wrong.
You're not wrong,
Because-
but the project, the position descriptions here, it's not for comp planning in specifically. It's to assist with the planning department and the building department, anyone who does permitting, to be, to kind of take some of the pressure off of Rob and I. When permits come in, they can do the first, the planning technician is like the intake of permitting and planning processes. So it's from general questions that then we don't have to field, that it's introductory planning, or that first contact. It's kind of a big deal, and a lot of municipalities have this position. The idea was to figure out a way to have more staff time for the amount of money that the planning department was allotted. When in the original budget request from the planning department, one of the intern positions, that amount was cut by 2/3. So 1/3 of that amount was not really enough to hire another person, especially a person who's likely going to come from a half an hour away and then have to basically break even with the commute. So the idea to get more bang for our buck is to consolidate those monies for the 2 intern positions and put them together into one position. And to do that, I presented my issue, which was the worry, and the real worry, because I haven't been able to get anybody on the hook to even consider an intern position for that amount of time, for that code enforcement. And so I presented that issue to the treasurer and the administrator, and they said, well, let's consolidate it into one position that is actually valuable to a lot more people than just planning. So I think that this position has the ability to do quite a lot. And if you look at the position description, it also includes mostly city planning, as a planning technician would, but it includes that intake process for permitting, both building and planning, and then it will be routed. That creates a more cohesive and consistent process for Rob and I. And then also GIS mapping. So in addition to just planning intern stuff, this would allow us to have that GIS that Mike mentioned, or our mayor mentioned for Public Works earlier, that will work with environmental, or with planning and Public Works and the building department to get that data into a database, the geographic information system, that the city so sorely needs. And it's a way to do it at an entry-level position that I think is a pretty good plan. It was already contemplated because it was previously on the salary schedule for the city. It was just omitted rather accidentally before the final budget was passed. So that was asking to put it back on. When they did put it back on, they reduced the overall pay for that position. Another detail there. So it's less than it was before, but with kind of a comprehensive job description.
So, Rob, no interns and 1 planning tech.
Correct. One job, no interns, same amount of money for now.
And to the maintenance position, Councilman Harper, the certified operator was on this and they took it off.
Correct, and we actually felt like there needed to be, to keep that certified operator was not we didn't feel like it was advantageous to the person or to the city that it needed to be more complicated. We didn't feel like we had the time or the data to be able to create that complicated chart that it's almost like we need another quarter page just for several different ones. And we honestly can't quite wrap our mind around it yet. So we got some of the positions and some of the data from my, we need more information to be able to make a concrete recommendation to this council. It's not something we're just, oh yeah, we'll do it pie in the sky. It's something that the committee has actively resolved to do, but we didn't want it to delay these recommendations. And it's not something that we were able to get by this meeting. We didn't feel like it needed to delay getting these job descriptions out there and these recommendations into the salary schedule. But it definitely is something that is a priority, and I'm not just giving you lip service. It just, when we look at it, we could be looking at up to 6 different lines added to this, and before we threw 6 lines in here, we wanted to make sure that that's the right way to do it. Or if we wanted to create a line and then a comment and then another way of figuring out the different certifications and how we'll compensate.
Well, the
for it.
certification should go along with their steps, right? The employees have 4 or 5 steps in their pay scale.
Right.
So 1 license per step. And you can do a salary survey. If you call me, I have all the information.
Yeah.
'Cause I
And we would love to take that.
just created it for my own staff.
Yeah, we'd love to take that input. It's hard to include you in the discussion because then that creates a quorum. And
Well, I can talk to Mike.
Sure, and we can certainly talk right now here at in the public, because we're all.
Yeah, and the mayor talked about the right ones. I would encourage you 3 to talk about the wastewater collection. Although not a state license, there is a wastewater collection personnel association that's recognized, and the guys do spend a lot of time in the sewer, so. But you're right, I mean, water distribution, water plant, cross connection, BAT, it's all.
It's essential.
And
You have to have it.
you need for the level 1 and 2s that they'll be getting, you need a year of experience. And Bubba's got quite a bit already, so he'll be okay, but it takes a while to progress, so.
Yep, so we definitely will need to address it. And again, we may have to have a separate table from this to address that specifically, but
So I would ask Rob, have your staff run the salary survey. The certified operators are in that salary surveys for all the towns you looked at for all the other positions.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to get clarified.
So if you wanted to, my recommendation, because we can't create a quorum of, dealing with the committee, and we can't flesh it all out at the table.
Sure.
Is if you wanted to talk to Rob, get everything ironed out, your recommendations, then we can sit down and deliberate over them and do the salary surveys, et cetera.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And so on the maintenance worker, is this who we're gonna hire for the position that the budget approved?
So let me talk, this is, that's a good question. So right now we have a summer, and actually, Mike, do you want to step in? Because you've already been involved with how all this is going to lay.
So what we're working on is, as I'd mentioned, with the sidewalk maintenance, I've been working with the Downtown Association, and they are offering, they're communicating amongst themselves, but myself and Amy have had several conversations where the Downtown Association is entertaining the idea of paying an individual salary for half a year for an employee to be a full-time city employee. During the summer, we'll use them in the Parks Department. During the winter, they will be in charge of the downtown corridor and citywide sidewalk maintenance for snow and ice removal and any other things. For instance, when there's no snow, obviously, then we'll use them as well as for doing just general maintenance. So that's why we just came up with a general maintenance position. He's still going to be somewhat of an equipment operator, but during the summer, he's going to be a parks person, so kind of split it down the center, come up with a median salary survey, and that's how they came up with that position. But if you look at the job description, it has in there that he's going to be sidewalk maintenance and parks and that type of stuff.
So we have budgeted for the summer, and with the Downtown Association, with their contribution, we can do the rest of it.
Pending their agreement.
Pending their agreement. If they can do it, then we'll have the person for the summer, and that's where the additional funds would come from.
But we ourselves budget enough money for 1 full-time
No, we use, don't we have?
So we budgeted for one full-time, another
Yeah.
operator maintenance, but this maintenance worker is in addition to that even, but it's the
So
summer.
we haven't hired that, we haven't
No.
announced
No,
that.
but that's the summer,
This job ordinarily is the summer.
it's the
Right.
summer help,
Yeah,
but making it full-time if the downtown will
Additional
pay
funding,
half.
yes.
And if a budget amendment is approved.
Yes,
For sure.
Right, there's a process, we have to go through.
and when will the new person for Public Works be hired, for operator?
Operator.
I'm still kind of weighing those options, looking at equipment, looking at weather. I don't want to pull the trigger too fast.
Sure.
So
Okay,
far, we've got a big window of opportunity to kind of conserve a little bit. So.
you're right.
We need something to talk to the downtown association with,
Yeah.
that we can back up.
Well, I think
That's
that's
what we're
common,
trying to-
I mean, that's common in cities larger than us, that,
Yeah.
they do that, shared source, so.
Okay, any other questions on the proposal? So do I hear a motion from somebody there?
I make a motion that we
1517.
pass ordinance number 1517 as presented.
I second that.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to adopt ordinance
1517.
1517. And see closer, please. Any questions on the motion? If not, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
That was an aye.
Okay. Okay, so now we'll go down and we'll review the First Street and Phil intersection improvement progress estimate number 2. And this, we would have put this in the packet earlier, but it came in late. And since it is, kind of routine stuff, and it's approved by our engineers, I give it to you guys to deliver it on.
I make a motion that we authorize the mayor to sign HLA's progressive estimate number 3 for the Pio Avenue intersection improvement.
Second.
Moved and seconded, to authorize the mayor to sign the progress estimate number 3 from the project of 17067. So, questions on the motion?
Just, we might want to correct the scrivener's error in paragraph 1 of progress estimate. I'm assuming I'm correct that it's a scrivener's error, just so we're clear for the record, and then, yeah. But I stand in favor of the
Should be
motion. Yeah.
Okay. Not, all is, we have a motion, right? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's, so, any committee reports? Okay.
We're working on some things, some exciting things going on in the airport committee, and staff's been working on that, and we are just moving forward with that. There's several things. We got one thing I can definitely talk about that we're adopting is a stamp program. So when pilots, fly around the state, they stop at our airport, and then they have this little passport thing, and they put Elum stamp. And so we'll be getting that stamp and everything all set up so that when they land in our airport, they can stamp Elum, and it's another stamp on their passport. Airplane passport. It's not like an official passport. And so that's exciting. And then, like Mike said, good job on signs. We appreciate
The
it.
passport program is actually done through the
Washington State
DOT aviation program, so it's all throughout the state.
Yep.
I thought we were gonna have to hire a stamper.
No, from what I understand is they furnish a stamp, another org furnishes an enclosure that it stays in so that it's safe, and then.
Or the mayor could say.
All right. Any other committee reports? Well, if not, I don't know, do you guys feel like adjourning, or what do you think?
I think we're done.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, guys.